to the Your Next Move podcast with me, Kimberly Brown. And today we have a very, very special guest, someone who I've seen online for quite a moment and have always admired her work. So I'm going to read a little bit of her bio just so y'all know exactly who she is. So Tonya Rapley is an internationally recognized speaker, best-selling author, and serial entrepreneur. Today we're going to talk a lot about some of the businesses that she has. She's known as the Millennial Money Expert, and she's the founder of My Fab Finance and the author of the Money Manual. Throughout her 6 years in business, she has worked with countless Fortune 50 brands and built a multi-million-dollar financial education business, which has literally impacted thousands around the world. She's been featured on all the places you know: Forbes, Vogue, Essence, The Washington Post, and she's been seen on Good Morning in America, y'all, the Today Show, Headline News, and countless media outlets. Tonya, I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you. I'm like, dang, I've been putting in work.
Yes, you have. And this is the short version, not even the long version. So I want you to start by just telling us a little bit about your journey to starting My Fab Finance.
Yeah. People always ask me, like, did you go to school for finance or anything like that? I did not go to school for finance. I did not think I wanted to be a finance expert when I grew up.
Okay.
I just knew I wanted to be free. I knew I wanted to have freedom. My mother and father were career military, and so I knew I wanted an occupation that allowed me to enjoy my life and not be told what I had to do.
Love it.
But I was working in nonprofit when I started My Fab Finance.
Okay.
So I was working for the YWCA and doing programming throughout New York City, and I created a program for women to help them improve their finances. And I'm sitting in the room and I'm like, you got people in this program, and it says you need to be in the program. Like,
I need to be in my own program.
Like, yes. So I like pulled the man to the side, got his information. I'm like, I need to come see you. And got his information, went and met him, and he was like, yeah, it's going to be $75 a month. And I was like, ooh, I don't have that. It put the battery in my back to start improving my finances. So I went to the library and checked out a bunch of books on improving your money. And one of the books was Girl, Get Your Money Right by Glenda Bridgeforth. And I just started working on it. I just started doing it. And then I was like, I'm going to create a blog to hold me accountable. Created the blog to hold me accountable, and other people started sharing the content. And that kind of backed up on a trip that I had with my mother and sister to Europe. And I was on that trip. I was getting ready to go to that trip, and my boss gave me hell about trying to get time off.
Wow.
I was like, you know what? I'm going to figure out how to blog for a living. I'm just figuring out how to blog for a living. And that was June 2013. By September 2015, I was a full-time financial educator.
I love that. And I think there's a trend. I think a lot of entrepreneurs who I've had on the podcast, myself included, so many of us started blogging.
Yeah.
So many back in the day, and how things have evolved over time
Girl.
too. So much more more than a blog, and also many of us don't blog anymore.
No. Like, now I have writers, you know, like to the point where if you want me to write, and the writing has been one of my revenue streams, but if a brand wants me to write something, like, you gonna pay me for my time. But it is funny. Like, how do you feel about the move to Reels? Because I feel like they just keep switching it up on us. And now we got to do first it was video.
Yes.
And now it's short form video. It's like, what are we doing next?
It's so much, but everything changes so fast. Like, when we were blogging, I was blogging like 6 days a week. And that seemed easy. But now I have a book, you have a book. I'm like, but it takes so much to write. And these reels, like, I can't edit a video. So that's why if I have a reel, I promise you, I did not create it.
Well, I need your team, because I don't want to create my reels. I don't want to do it.
I am more than happy to share it, because I cannot. So my next question for you is, you are branded as the Millennial Money Expert. So why millennials? Why that group?
Because I am. I mean, for me, I think that one of the things about freedom and creating a life that I desire is creating a life that is representative of who I am. Because then I'm not showing up. Then I'm not acting. I am just being myself.
Got it.
And I literally get paid to be myself. I am a millennial. I am now a money expert. But, as far as like motherhood and everything, I won't talk about anything that I'm not. It's funny because a brand reached out to me like, we want to award you investment expert of the year. And I was like, I don't talk about like, keep the award. Y'all didn't do your research. But I don't like to purport to be anything that I'm not. And so for me, it's just, I'm a millennial. I like nice things. I'm fabulous. So let's create a brand based on that.
So where do you think that we go wrong? Because I'm a millennial too. So what are our biggest mistakes when it comes to money?
Millennials and money, doing too much. Across the board, doing too much. Millennials want to save to buy a house. They want to start businesses like simultaneously. You know,
All
they
at the
want to
same
start,
time, yeah.
they want to start investing, but they want to build their savings and improve their credit. And you know, so you have to focus on one thing and then build from there. And the great thing about money and finances, when you work on one area, it usually trickles over into another area or has an impact on one. So say you want to start building your savings. Usually that's going to help you with your budgeting muscle. That's going to help you with your discipline when it comes to money. But people don't really focus on getting good at one thing. They're trying to do too many things. You know what I mean? Somebody, I'm working on my credit, but girl, I want to start investing. Like, wait a minute.
Yes.
Wait a minute.
Pick one.
And, you know, and some people are so credit focused. And that's something I always ask people is, why is it important for you to boost your credit score? Are you going to make a credit-based decision in the next couple months?
Yes.
Because if you're not buying a house, a car, applying for something, then maybe we should focus on something else. Because like they'll be like, oh, I'm already in my house. Like, okay, oh, I got my car. I don't need another car. Then why are we focusing on credit? That's a vanity metric at this point.
That makes so much sense, especially when you hit that vanity metric. Like I see people on social media like, ooh, I'm at 740. Ooh, I hit 802. But if you don't need it,
look like, and
you have $1,000 not even in your savings
account. What's that emergency fund look like? Granted, you can get a credit card if you need to.
Yes.
But like, what's your emergency savings look like?
Oh, that makes so much sense. So when we think about finance, I think so many times we're thinking debt reduction or we're thinking saving. And advanced folks are talking about investments because you have to have the money to do the investments. So what do you wish you started earlier when it came to your financial journey?
I wish I would have started buying assets earlier.
Okay.
I wish I would have purchased a home earlier.
Okay.
I was thinking about that the other day because now I'm finishing up with renovating my first investment property. And I was like, imagine if you would have bought a house out of college or like an investment property out of college or something. And I talked myself out of it. And I was actually talking to a good friend of mine yesterday. And he was like, real estate just seems so daunting. And this man is brilliant. He's like a brilliant individual. And he's like, real estate just seems so daunting. And I was like, I know, I felt the same way, but I wish I would have started buying assets earlier.
That makes sense. So when you think of assets, you're thinking of a home. Anything else that comes under there for you?
A home, land.
Yeah.
It wasn't going to be like jewelry or anything like that was going to appreciate, but I would say a home, land. I was kind of investing, kind of. So I had a workplace 401k and I was in my early 20s. And when I left that job, I cashed out. And that workplace 401k went from being worth like $1,400 to $800.
Real fast.
Girl, you could have left your little $1,400 in there and it probably would have grown to be like $5,000-$6,000 now at this point. And because, that was almost, goodness, that was like 15 years ago. Wow, and so I wish I would have been more serious about that. Even working for companies that had stock options and everything, taking advantage and purchasing stocks out of my paycheck instead of just being like, no, I'm trying to go to bike rally. I need all my money today.
That makes sense. I know for me, when I think about investment vehicles, I just thought that if I couldn't do it myself, then I wasn't able to do it. So I know I got a financial advisor. So I took when I transitioned into entrepreneurship, I found a financial advisor and I gave her everything.
Good.
I'm like, I'm not going to be the person I'm just not. But she manages all of it. I give her the money. She does my, the Owner K plan for entrepreneurs. And she does all of the things. I may not be on the latest, what was that one that went crazy the other day? GameStop? Was it GameStop?
I mean, there's
earlier this year?
Yeah, GameStop was going, AMC was going crazy. Yeah. Like the different meme stocks.
I'm not hopping on those. But over time, it's growing because like you said, that 1,400 went to 800. I know when was it? In 2020 when the pandemic hit, my investments went down so fast. I was like, I need someone who can do some of this.
Down right now too.
Yes. I looked the other day.
Yeah. Just like get out, log out.
Exactly. But when you have a financial advisor, they're able to do some of those things.
Yeah. And then they treat it like it's on sale. Like I was talking to my financial advisor and he's like, the market's on sale right now.
Yes.
So that's a good way to look at it. And you don't lose money until you cash out. That's the thing. Even though the market's down, unless you're cashing out, you're not losing money. Otherwise, you just write it back up because your shares are still worth what they're like. You still have the same amount of shares, even though the value has diminished.
So I want to switch gears because one of the things that I love watching on Instagram from you is all of the ventures that you're in when it comes to like all your entrepreneurial ventures. So I know you have the investment company, investment property, you have the loofah company. So what made you branch into these other areas of business?
Girl, the Gemini. No. So the loofah company was, I think I was at a place in my life where I felt like I was at a, not a standstill with My Fab Finance, but I was in a groove. Things where I knew what to expect. And I wanted to diversify my income. And so
Okay.
this opportunity came across the table to buy this company with my husband at the time. And so we bought it. I was like, I want to branch into e-commerce. I like that it's scalable.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of my services. So we bought it. And I'm about to sell it. I'm tired.
Okay.
I'm about to sell
Okay.
it. But I have learned a lot about e-commerce, and I've learned that it might not be my jam the way I thought it was going to be.
Okay.
But so there's Club Loofah, and then the investment property came about because I want to own more assets.
Got it.
Last year was my first year making $1 million within 1 year.
Wow.
And I was like, I want to walk away from this year with like tangible things that I leverage this money to not just gain knowledge, because I did join a mastermind. There were other things that I did, and it expanded my team, but I actually want a tangible asset out of this. And so that was one of the reasons I moved into real estate, but I've been interested in moving into real estate, and I want to build out my portfolio because you know how we said social keeps changing.
Yes.
And
we can't make reels.
One day I'm gonna wake up and be like, I don't want to do none of this.
Yes.
And like, I want to be good. I want to be good. I want my income to be solid, irregardless of if I decide to, you know, say yes to an email or take an opportunity or launch something. So that was me creating more independence with my money. And, you know, my goal is to move it to expand to 5 doors this year. So.
I love that. I had an investment property as well. We recently sold it. But I'm thinking about it. And I love that you're thinking about disappearing from the internet, because I think about the same thing when it comes to my brand. Like, I love all of this right now.
Yes.
But there may come a day where I just want a podcast, but the company runs it by someone else.
Yeah.
I get to be a chairman, and Manifest Yourself is its own company doing the consulting services. And I do the podcast. And then I'm on a beach.
Yes.
Somewhere living my good life.
About your business. Like,
exactly.
I did what I had to do. Okay, guys, enjoy yourselves.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, we got to think about our retirement plan.
Exactly.
As creators. And, you know, there are some people who are just lifers, you know, Oprah. Oprah is Oprah. You know, thinking about Andre Leon Talley, where they were lifers in it. But what happens if you just want to disappear? Like Dave Chappelle did it on us a couple years ago. Yes. Be good. And be like, then pop back up and be like, hey, y'all, I'm rested.
Exactly. I'm back. I'm happy.
I got some lessons for y'all, like new focus. But it's nice to have that option.
It's about creating something that works without you.
Yes.
I think a lot of business coaches that I've had, they've talked about, if you disappear from your business, will it still run? And if it won't, then you don't really have a business. It has to be a vehicle that can run without you, without me, without all of it, so that we're able to continue to make money.
And that's challenging when you're building a brand that is centered around you.
Exactly.
You know, that can be really challenging. Like, okay, I am the face of this brand. How do I build something that stands alone outside of me?
100%. So my next question for you, honestly, is a question that I hate asking, but I want to ask it anyways, because I feel like we only ask women this question. We never ask men.
It's a balance.
It is, but I want to do a spin on it.
Okay.
I know you've shared a little bit about your health journey. On social. How have you learned to balance like your well-being? Because I think as an entrepreneur, as a career woman, I know when I worked in corporate America, I didn't work 40 hours. It wasn't 40 hours. It was.
Do you think it was more or less?
It was a lot more.
Okay.
I had a global role, so I'd say 60, sometimes it changed more. I worked a lot. So well-being was something that I didn't think about until I was forced to think about it because my health was going. So how do you prioritize your overall well-being when you are so multifaceted with everything that you have going on?
Yeah. A variety of ways. I have redefined how well-being looks for me, as well as I've learned to give myself grace and grasp at the opportunities for well-being. So I build it in my schedule. One thing I was really committed to, or still am committed to, is going away once a quarter on like at least a 3-day trip just by myself. No child, no significant other, nobody. I'm only responsible for myself. That way I can focus on getting massages. I can sleep all day if I want to. I eat what I want. I don't even have to worry about what I'm going to eat. Like, I'm going to make sure they have food there. And I just order room service. So I create space intentionally for my well-being. It's funny. One of my friends on the way here, he was asking, he's like, did you work out today? And I was like, no, I feel so bad because I am really intentional about moving my body. Okay. And so moving my body, I'm like, I like weight training. And I feel like, especially in the season that I'm coming out of in my life, like navigating a divorce, I feel like that has allowed me to just kind of focus on my power and just like zero in on like, girl, you lifted that, like just to cheer myself up on a little more. And that's been really helpful as far as physical and mental. well-being. So I try to double dab if I can. Like, okay, we're going to take care of the physical and we're going to take care of the mental. But then also creating those boundaries, invoking the right to say no, invoking the right to change my mind. Even, we got an email the other day and somebody wanted to be a part of the project. Initially, I was like, okay, I'll do it. Then I really sat back and thought about it. I was like, no, I don't want to do this project. So let's let them know that my schedule is filled up and we're not able to do this. And I used to feel guilty about changing my mind, but now I feel like if something is out of alignment and I'm feeling like I don't want to do it, then I need to honor that. And I would say that's been the last part of my self-care journey, is really being able to honor myself unapologetically. Yeah. Because in honoring myself unapologetically, everything else just flows. Everything else just feels like it's in alignment with who I am. The relationships that I'm a part of, the people that are a part of my life, the project that I'm doing. So that self-honor is actually part of my wellness practice. Because if I'm not honoring myself, I'm not doing myself justice.
Exactly. And how can you give literally for a I would say it may not even be a cup anymore. It's like the droplets that dried on the counter after you put the cup away. That's all you have. But sometimes you're trying. Yeah. Exactly. You're trying to give from that.
Yes. And I feel like early on in my entrepreneurship journey, I was doing that.
Yeah.
That's why I had to ask, like, wait, did you work more as an entrepreneur or as a self-employed individual, as a traditionally employed individual? I felt like initially in my entrepreneurship journey, the girl was working. I was like, this is hard, but the reward was better.
Yes.
It's like I would work my butt off for $65,000 a year. And it's like, I'm over here working my butt off for $65,000 a month.
Exactly.
It makes sense. I'll do it.
Yes.
It's a good trade-off. But I've gotten to a point now where I've learned to work smarter instead of harder. And I've learned to trust people in my business to do things that I previously felt I was the only one qualified to do.
I love that. So as we kind of get closer to a close, based upon all of your experiences, so we've talked about money, we've talked about your general entrepreneurial journey, we've talked about different investments. What is one thing you want my listeners to know when they listen to this episode?
Don't let not knowing stop you from doing something.
Okay.
I think that I meet people and they'll say, well, we didn't learn about money in high school. I'm like, yeah, you didn't learn how to apply your lashes in high school. You didn't learn how to there's a lot of things we didn't learn how to do in high school, and we're doing it every day. So when it comes to your money, don't allow that to be an excuse. Listen to a podcast, find a coach, join a program, do something that will help you learn more. There are so many educators out here, whether it's Terry Agioma, whether it's Kendra, the Key Resource, and Erica Brown. They both teach on investing. Julian Gordon. There's so many people out here educating. So don't allow not knowing to be the barrier from you getting started.
There's a book, I think it's called Everything is Figure Outable.
Everything.
Right? I'm like, I think that's a book. I'm not sure who it's from, but we'll link it in the show notes if that is an actual book or not just a quote. But I think many times we feel like if we don't know, especially as millennials, I think sometimes if you're maybe not as high achieving and don't have that mindset, like literally, you can figure it out.
You can. Like, we ain't know nothing about TikToks. And here we are, mini video editors.
Exactly. When you figure out like this, the algorithm changed or this went this way. If you want to keep going, you figure it out. If you want to make more money, you figure it out. I think it's how can we put that in every facet of our life sometimes to create a better life that we love.
Yeah. Yeah. So just extend it. Extend the lessons that you're willing to learn in other areas to things that are important, such as your finances.
Yes.
Because I have an undergraduate degree in public administration and a master's in public policy. Very far from finance. But I was like, I'm just not going to let that stop me from living the life that I desire.
100%.
And it starts with that choice.
I love that. So as we wrap, let us know what's next for you. Give us the juice. Let us know.
So I am moving into my personal brand, crafting out my personal brand, which I'm really excited about. I love that work. I've been teaching finance since 2013. So it's like, I literally could talk about budgets in my sleep.
Okay.
And I needed something that brought out another element of me. So that is my personal brand. So I'm doing my first event here in Atlanta, Design Your Life Weekend.
Ooh.
But I'm really passionate about helping high achieving women create a life that aligns with their core values and a life that honors them. Because as high achievers, oftentimes we're living in someone else's dream or fulfilling someone else's goals for ourselves. So how do we define our core values? And then how do we design our life based on those core values? That means the relationship should fall into place. That means that the occupation or career, the way you make money, the way that you travel, the friendships that you have, all those things should be a representative of your core values. So I'm excited about that work. So that's what's next for me, is really building out the Tonya Rapley brand for assisting high achieving women so they can become more powerful and live lives of joy, abundance, and ease.
Well, clearly I'm going to be looking for those things. So I'm very excited. Thank you so much. And where can we find you?
So you can find me at Tonya.Rapley, Tonya with an O, Nya. Rapley on Instagram. My Fab Finance. If you're interested in the finance advice, I have My Fab Finance. And if you're watching this and like, I don't know where I fall, or if you're listening to this and you're like, I don't know where I fall when it comes to my finances, you can go to mymoneypersona.com. Okay. It's a quiz that we developed, and you can take that quiz to see where you are in your financial journey. And then we give you targeted actions and resources that we've created to support you wherever you are to get you to the next step. So that's mymoneypersona.com.
I love that. We will link all of that in the show notes, no matter where you're watching. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. And y'all who are watching and listening, may your next move be your very best move. Thank you so much for tuning in this week to the Your Next Move podcast. Don't forget to share this episode with a colleague or friend so we can all level up together. If you enjoyed today's episode, please write a review wherever you listen to podcasts. And lastly, if you're looking to join a community of thriving professionals, I invite you to join the Next Move Best Move community, my private community of professionals that includes the Manifest Yourself signature leadership development courses, monthly lunch and learns, and more. For more information, please go to kimberlybeonline.com/community. Until next week, remember to make your next move your very best move.